Today, I am attempting what I think might be the hardest Zwift race I have ever done. The course I'll be racing today is Power to the Tower, which is round 5 of the Zwift World Series Community Race League. This course is split up into 3 major climbs, which is pretty much 3 ascents of the Epic KOM, with the final one being a mountaintop finish all the way to the top of the bonus climb. If you remember back to my last race where I actually won, it was up the Epic KOM. So let's see if I've got what it takes and if I can beat the far tougher competition in this race. On my last Zwift racing video, one of my viewers actually commented suggesting I give this course a go because it would really suit my power profile. So here I am, giving it a go for you guys. There we go, we're entered 45.6 kilometers and 1,496 meters of elevation. This is going to be a brutal one. Okay, let's get the bike on the turbo and get kitted up ready to race. This will actually be my first time giving these play controllers a go in a race, something I've been really looking forward to doing. Here we go, let's get cracking. Off the line, on the flat rollout, the pace was fairly gentle, with most riders clearly fearing the 3 huge climbs that were to come. Zwift races don't often have this many long climbs in them, so I'm quite curious to see what the tactics are going to be here, whether anyone's going to launch on the first go, or if it's all going to stick together at a fairly steady pace. In fact, the pace stayed really steady until we hit the base of the first climb. Here we go, we're approaching the first climb. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous to see how this goes. The goal here is to just not overextend and try and stick in the bunch. The tempo was really high up the first few hairpins of the climb, often spiking up into the high 300 watts, and because of this, slowly a few riders were being tailed off the back. The shallower bridge section is usually a moment to get a bit of a rest, but as you can see, the bunch was strung out into a long, thin line, with everyone desperately trying to hold on to the crazy pace at the front. And now for a long, old run of pain. The proper climb. The pace was relentless, never dipping below 300 watts, and often up above 5 watts per kilo. Despite this, I was still feeling relatively strong, and whilst painful, I was well within myself holding this pace. People already being shelled. One by one, riders were dropping and the group was thinning out, until in the last couple of kilometres, there were only around 10 riders left in the main group. Talking positioning, I'd love to come top 10, given probably the strength of the field in this race. Unfortunately though, approaching the summit, 3 riders started to get a gap and went clear of the bunch, with 4 of us remaining together behind. I think them 3 might be gone. The Epic KOM Reverse took me 16 minutes and 16 seconds, and I had to average 329 watts just to stay with this second group on the road. Over the top of the first major climb, I was now in the second group on the road with 4 other riders, chasing down the 3 riders out front. And now it's time to take the twisty descent down the grade before a long challenging climb back up to the top. And this was where I made my first major mistake. Foolishly ignoring the warnings about moving out of the draft that one of my commenters gave me on a previous video, I decided to try and take an efficient route through the hairpins. And ultimately this started to get me distance from the group. Descending on Zwift is something I really need to work at, as by the bottom of the descent I'd managed to lose a huge 14 seconds on a rider I'd started with. I entered the grade along with one other rider in 7th place, and we were both determined to catch back up to the 2 riders that had managed to distance us on the previous descent. The grade was a very challenging climb, 3.5 kilometres at 8.6%, covering just over 300 metres of elevation gain. We slowly clawed back a couple of riders up ahead, but it was clear the lead group, now only containing 2 riders, were in a league of their own. One rider that was distanced on the first climb was slowly closing the gap to me, so I decided to ease off the pedals so I would have someone to work with on the undulating flat section before the Epic KOM descent. I know he's going to catch me, and I don't want him to blow straight through. However, they never did end up catching me, so I was stuck in no man's land at around 10 to 20 seconds behind the rider up ahead, not managing to get any closer to them either. To survive the grade in the 12 minutes and 52 seconds it took me, I had to average 313 watts. The next 15 minutes of the race were fairly uneventful, with me stuck in an endless chasse patate trying to catch the Japanese rider up ahead, with unfortunately no success. By the time we reached the final climb, the gap was fortunately reducing and I was hoping to be able to make the catch as soon as the gradient started to increase. Luck, however, was on my side, and unfortunately the rider must have had a technical issue and suddenly stopped by the side of the road, allowing me to pass with ease.
God, the leader's got 4 minutes on me. I know blowing here is going to be a death sentence. On the final steep bit, you'll be able to lose minutes.
And now it was time to settle in for the long and painful effort that would be the last climb of the race. Up the Epic KOM, all the way to the radio tower this time. 9.5 kilometres at 4%, immediately followed by the radio tower climb, clocking in an extra 1.2 kilometres at a leg-snapping 13%. I was starting to make a little bit of progress on the rider just up ahead, however the gap seemed unbridgeable. The rider behind me as well was a bit too close for comfort, so I really did have to keep the power down up this climb. The undulating section just before the top of the regular climb was torture. Constant changes in gradient made it really hard to stick to a pace, alongside the looming fear of the final climb up to the radio tower.
Right, here we go. Beginning the final bit of effort now. See what I've got left in the legs. How close to that D Cunningham can I get? Final 500 metres. I'm dying. Oh. Sixth place, I'll take it. What the heck? Top guy, hour and 20 minutes at 373 watts. That's unreal.
So, how did the final climb go? The main bit of the climb took me 22 minutes and 11 seconds at an average of 290 watts, with an extra 5 minutes and 23 seconds up the radio climb finish, averaging 316 watts. In the end, I crossed the line in 6th place out of the 24 starters, and only 10 of us actually managed to finish the race. This race pushed me to my limit, but there are definitely still areas where I could improve. One key area is descending. I managed to get dropped on the grade descent, partly because I tried to manually steer to take a corner tighter and steer myself out of the draft, but also I'm not so sure about when to apply power. If you're a seasoned Zwift racer, let me know in the comments down below if you've got any tips on how I could improve my descending, as I feel like at the minute it is one of my biggest weaknesses. Another standout moment where I could have improved is up that first climb. If I'd have just managed to push a little bit deeper and hold the 10 seconds or so to the group ahead, I might have stood a chance at holding onto a group for a bit longer. The rider ahead of me only finished around a minute up the road, and I was actually closing them slightly up the final climb. So who knows, if I'd have managed to stay with them earlier, I might have stood a chance at beating them up that final climb. On a positive note though, during that race I did actually crack my 1 hour power record and set a new record of 290 watts. Now that's not too high when you consider my FDP is around 320 watts, but it wasn't in a sustained effort. It will have been set when I did 330 watts up the first climb, then descended the grade with a lot of freewheeling and then rode back up the grade. So actually in a sustained effort I could probably go quite a lot deeper. Thanks so much for watching. All the engagement I've been getting lately is really encouraging and really motivating me to make more of these videos. So if you're enjoying it, please get involved in the comments down below. Get yourself subscribed, drop the video a like, because it all really does encourage me to keep making these videos. And if you've got any feedback, positive or negative, also feel free to drop it in the comments down below. In my next video, I'll be checking out some wheels that I think are just about the best value wheels money can buy. But you'll have to wait till next week for that one. See you all next time.